Hey, friends. Thank you for joining us for one more session of Kardec After Lunch, where we're going to be reading from one of Kardec's works and doing a little bit of commentary. As it is customary, on Mondays, we do the reading of the Spirit's book, this is the edition that I have on hand, and I suggest you follow along. But before that, let me remind you that we in spiritismstudy.org, with the permission of kardecpedia.com, have developed the Spirit's Book Study Aid. It is a much thinner version because in this version, we remove all of the answers and all of the sections of the book which are not particularly a question and answer type. And in doing so, I think not only enables participants of a study group to be more engaged into the discussion instead of just the mechanical and automatic reading. As you see, we have just the questions. And by having just the questions, really forces you to reflect on the what possible answer could be according to what your knowledge, your common sense, your level of development in intellect, morality, and spirituality uh, thinks is best, right? Of course, it's likely that your answers will not always confirm what is actually written in the Spirit's book. But I think it's a great exercise to uh, to do while studying the Spirit's book. So participants utilize this book, which also has a hardcover, which lasts a lot longer than those. This one is free of charge, but this one, of course, costs the Spiritist Society uh, the full price, right? And it takes a whole lot more space. But those are just some of the benefits of using it. Now, as I mentioned, if you happen to have this edition of the book, you can open it up on page number 141. We are on chapter 2. We're reading about the incarnation of spirits and the purpose of incarnation, the soul, and materialism. So it goes like this. Question number 132. What is the purpose of the incarnation of spirits? So basically, what's this idea? This idea is asking, why must we come over and over again to live successive lives, incarnate in a new body as a spirit? And the answer is God imposes incarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection, right? In his justice, he cannot create us perfect, but he created us able to perfect ourselves, but doing so at our will, at our expense by or using our willpower or free will. And it continues, for some, it is an expiation, for others, a mission. So it really all depends on how you take it, right? However, in order to reach this perfection, they must undergo all the vicissitudes of corporeal existence. Therein lies their expiation. And this, by this, I think he means that, of course, as you study the doctrine, you understand, or perhaps, sorry, I won't say you understand, you develop an idea, because it is very hard for us, at least for myself, to imagine life in the spiritual world, to imagine life without a body. It's to us, it's more like a mental exercise because it is hard to picture you with your spirit still living, still maintaining the individuality, but not having a body, not feeling the fatigue, not feeling hunger, thirst, and none of those things that come with the body. So it's, to me, it's like it's a mental exercise. It's something that perhaps we can do while thinking about science fiction. But so he's saying that the expiation itself is being in the prison of flesh, as some refer, instead of being in your natural and spirit state. Uh, Incarnation has a further objective, which is to place the spirits in situations where they can do their share in the work of creation. So basically, the idea is the universe does not maintain itself, it has to be maintained by our work as inhabitants and in the future as managers or overseers of it. So, thank you for joining, Gabriel. We appreciate your support. So, the idea is that we are not just tenants, we are not just spectators. Although, let me put it this way, up until a certain point, we are not conscious of our participation in the maintenance of the universe. We just do it mechanically, right? Because we're told to, or no, our instinct says so. But little by little, as we gain conscious free will, the ability to accumulate intellect, develop morality, and so on and so forth, we become more and more acquainted and aware of this responsibility and the ability that we have to actually. Oh, thank you, Gabriel. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. So, and then to just to explain this, I feel that I also have a responsibility, and in my mind, the responsibility is if I have been given the opportunity to know the doctrine, I must not keep it to myself. That's not to say that I'm like out on the street trying to win converts, but I'm trying to, while studying for my own betterment, why not make it available so others can be involved into this endeavor as well and learn just as I did? I've only started a few years ago, but what is important is not how many books you read, but is that you take the first step. That's all. And that's I try to maintain this effort as simple as possible. It's about just sitting down, picking up a book, and read along with me, and I'll read along with you. It is about taking that first step. It has to be like, say, after the first step comes another and another and another. And by the time you realize the world around you has changed because of the time and effort you took to reorient your thoughts. Then come your words, then your actions. And believe me, you will be a different person for having done so. But let's continue. He goes on and says, incarnation has a further objective, which is to place the spirits in situations where they can do their share of work in the creation. On each world, they clothe themselves with an instrument that is in harmony with the essential matter of the world, so that they may use that instrument to carry out the orders of God. So, in carrying out God's orders, in the beginning, we have no say so. We are just doing as we're told, right? And it's not much different than we were kids. So, perhaps let's put it this way: when you are the newest member of your work team, whatever work it may be, you just do as you're told. You pick this, let's say, this tile over here or this brick and put on top of that brick, and that's it. That's all you're going to be doing. Or you're going to be sweeping up the shop or something like that. Anyway, it's going to be a simple task and you're going to be doing until people are confident that you're able to do it without supervision, right? And then as you show, you know, that you are able to take on more complex tasks, you know, uh, then you are rewarded with the opportunity to contribute in a more complex manner. The same happens to us. It's the exact same way. Believe me, there is, of course, like I mentioned to you, a certain level of effort is necessary for us to develop the mental picture of how we must be in the spiritual world. But many other things that happen there are not much different than how it happens here. And the reason is we bring to this world, the material world, memories of what it was. So the material world is nothing but a very low fidelity replication of the spiritual world. And one of the main reasons for this low fidelity is in the material world, we do not yet enjoy moral ascendancy over each other. We only ascend over each other by virtue of power, economic, financial, political, etc. Right? But times are changing. Now let's continue. In this way, they contributed to the general work and progress at the same time. So, as you do your part, because heaven already did theirs, God already done theirs. As we do our parts, we are contributing to the team and to our betterment, right? And then there's a long commentary by Kardec. Let me see. No, not that long. Let's read it. The action of corporeal beings is necessary for the evolution of the universe, but out of divine wisdom, God has willed that in this same action they might have a means of progressing and drawing near to God. Thus, through an admirable law of divine providence, everything is connected and everything in nature is in solidarity. So, some of those things that we read, and this isn't perhaps read in the beginning of the Spirit's book, it's perhaps easy to understand, rationally speaking, logically speaking. We can understand the idea. We don't quite understand how it's put in practice or the ramifications of it because, like I say, we're still in the beginning. But I tell you, as we study the doctrine, as you read through this whole book, and the next one, and the next one, all five of them, and then you come back at the beginning and start again, because the first time you just read, second time you're studying, hopefully the third time will be even more productive. But by each time you're rereading the same text, your comprehension, you yourself has already changed since the first time you've seen this. And you will you understand in a different way. You grasp some ideas that you did not in the first time. So I say it's not about reading, it's about actually studying it. Let's continue to 133. So 133 says, is incarnation necessary for spirits who have followed the path of the good from the beginning? Now, before reading the answer, let me just say this. If we pay attention to how spirits were created in the first place, they created simple and ignorant from the beginning, there is no possible way that we can follow the good path. First, without knowing what the good path is, right? Because we have no knowledge. We cannot discern between good and bad, right and wrong, yet we have to learn at our own expense, right? So that's already perhaps a wrong idea about some have been following the good path or others being following the bad path since the beginning. No, we all started from ignorance. So we always started at zero. And others perhaps have a wrong idea where we started because we don't know our origins. But let's see the answer. It says, all are created simple and ignorant, gaining instruction through the struggles and tribulations of corporeal life. Since God is just, God would not make some blissful without their having deserved it through hardship and work. And there's a sub question to it, but we're actually reaching the end of our time. God is just, believing that, and believe that your work is necessary not just for your betterment, for the better of humanity as a whole and the universe. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your time. And I hope to see you again soon. Until then, Godspeed to all.